Hi everyone, and welcome back to Behind the Business with myself, Amanda, and the lovely Carina. We've had a few weeks off, so it's good to be back. So
Certainly
wanted to
is.
just do a little recap for everybody as to why we originally started Behind the Business. We've not been entrepreneurs all our lives, and it's been a rather steep learning curve to say the least. But one of the great things is having people like ourselves in our networks and as friends is that we realise that we wear a lot more hats than we thought we were going to. And so it's great to have people to chat with about all of the different aspects of business. And also, we wanted to just share all of the things that we chat about because we found it so helpful that hopefully other people will find it helpful. And also, we learn a lot from other people sharing with us as well. So, yeah, that was our intentions with it. So just for those of you that don't know me, my name is Amanda, and I am a co-founder and partner at the Mortgage Boutique. I moved over to Dubai from London originally, just under 11 years ago. And I've been an entrepreneur for coming up to 3 years now. And it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. So do you want to share a bit about yourself, Karina?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. It's great to be back. And my name is Carina Harvey. I'm an identity advisor. And like Amanda, I have lived in the UAE now for 11 years, coming up for. I'm a London girl originally, an ex corporate girl originally. And yeah, not new to entrepreneurship, actually, a few years into my journey. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. So, without further ado, we've got two sessions on the topic of owning the summer months. So, what we thought we'd do with this session and the next session in 2 weeks' time is share a little bit from two different perspectives. So, Amanda and I have had a different summer to one another so far. So, Amanda, you travelled, and I have been here for the last 4 weeks, and then we're both going to be in situ here for the last 4 weeks. And I think we often think that it's easier one or the other. So if you're running the business, you're still in your home country, you're experiencing the quieter months, or you are somehow juggling managing your business whilst you are traveling. And there are challenges to both of those scenarios. So we thought we'd kick off, first of all, in terms of how best to utilize your time to your advantage whilst you're here, whilst the months are quieter. It's been a unique year, shall we say, in the UAE so far, and but no matter where you are in the world, it we experience a much quieter time in summer. So, how can we make the best of our time? So, I'm going to kick off with one thing in particular to begin with. And it sounds like a really obvious thing to say, but setting clear goals and objectives for these few months. So, from my perspective, I guess I've had the 2 months here on the ground. And Amanda, even when you said to me a week ago that you were coming back soon, and I was like, oh my God, I can't, but I almost had a bit of a panic. I was like, you are? Have I done everything that I thought I was going to do? Um, it demonstrates just how much this time flies. And if we don't track our time and if we don't set ourselves some clear objectives, then actually, there aren't so many events and the days roll into weeks and the weeks roll into a month. And before you know it, that time has passed and you haven't necessarily achieved that much. And Amanda, I know obviously you've got the next month coming up as well. So what have you
Yeah,
got
it's
planned in that
interesting the
sense?
chats that we've had over the past 3 to 4 weeks because obviously you've been here. It's been quite a good leading by example for me actually to get clear about how I want to spend my August. And usually I wouldn't be here for the full summer. I'd usually be out of Dubai working remotely. I was actually really looking forward to getting back because it's nice to have a different experience of doing the business on the ground here in August because people
Yeah.
do think that it is so much quieter. I don't necessarily think it's quieter. I just think it looks very different. And that I think is across all of the industries, to be honest. Obviously, a lot more people travel in the summer. People are
Mm,
going away through the school holidays with the children, etc. But for me, I think because there clearly isn't as many networking events, that opens up the opportunity to use that time. And it's like you said, get clear and purposeful on your objectives and goals, because otherwise that time just passes you by and you haven't actually been purposeful with it and done anything. So for me, it's about
Mm,
reconnecting. You know, we spend a lot of time networking, and that's great, but actually it's nice to have a bit of a pause on that so you can spend time nurturing those relationships, you know,
mm,
collaborating with people, building introducer agreements and arrangements in place. So like I say, spending time reconnecting with people, not at events. And again, it makes you get a bit more focused to be like, okay, who is it that I really want and need to be spending my time with? Not only for my own business, but how can I help other people? Because that is the beauty of networking. It's about giving and receiving. It's not just about,
mm.
okay, what can I get? So for me, it's been very focused around the time management and the networking and how to keep connected with my contacts and connections through my networking when the events aren't there. So that's been a big one for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, definitely. I just thought of two different things off of that. So, first of all, I think it's a really good time to be able to go through and do a bit of a cleanup, do a bit of an audit. So I think so something that I talk about a lot is the law of vacuum, which means that basically if you create space where needed, you allow that space to attract more of what you actually need in your life. So whether that's your life in general or whether that's your life in business. So that's two things that I've been looking at. So one from a business perspective, but also from a personal perspective as well. Stupid things just like clearing out the wardrobes, which is a perpetual task in my life. But anyway, that's another subject. But definitely when it comes to business, you know, looking at where am I spending my time? And, you know, this year has been, yeah, unique, like I said earlier. And yeah, it's given me the time and space to be able to look at where have I spent my time this year? What has worked for me so far? I'm redirecting one business. So what's going to work for me going forwards as well? Um, so
Do
that's
you
one
feel
thing that
you've
I
made the
just thought
best
of.
use of that extra time, so to speak? Like, how do you feel that you've been
Definitely.
productive? Because you've obviously had July and done all of that stuff. I'm now coming into it and I'm like, I'm already a week into August. And as much as I
Yeah.
feel like I've been productive this week, I also feel like, okay, we only have so many weeks left in August. And because it looks different, it's not just the
Mm,
usual routine of what you'd usually do. It kind of
hmm.
heightens it a bit more for me. And I feel like
Yeah.
not a pressure, but it's definitely a more of a, okay, I'm really intentional in making this time productive. So do you feel that you've done the majority of the things that you wanted to do in July? Because we can all talk a good game and give ourselves lip
Mm.
service and say we're going to do this stuff, but you've now done July. So
Yeah.
honestly, do you feel like you've actually been productive with the new approach?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and again, it really does come back to setting yourself clear goals and objectives. So for me, for example, in July, and I can go on to talk about what I've got planned in August as well, but I had some key things which I've been able to tick off. So I wanted to spend a lot of time delving into the practices that I had designed over the last couple of years in my framework and really kind of honing in and restructuring where do certain practices sit, where do certain things straddle, where are there gaps in there as well, and creating new practices to suit. Then about 6 months ago, I started working on my rebrand, and then I sort of rolled it out here and there. And you know, when you change your logo and it's embedded everywhere. So that's been something that I've looked at. And then off the back of that, I've something I haven't spoken about enough, but I managed to redo my website and managed to get that live and working this week. So, I mean, those are the things that I had planned for July. And a lot of that was all work that I was doing completely myself as well without outsourcing it. And that's the thing. If you dedicate the time, you set yourself those clear goals and objectives, and then I've got more objectives that I'm looking to achieve into August as well. So yeah, definitely. But you've got to be really strict with yourself as well, because again, when you don't have that structure in place, there is a tendency to kind of be like, oh yeah, you know, I'll just get distracted by this or distracted by that, or maybe I can go off and have an extra Pilates or something like that, which is great. And you can do that if you've got the time. But if you've set yourself those objectives, then that's the thing that will pull you back so that you create that balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
How
hear
I've
you on
explained
that.
that.
Yeah, and I get, and do you know, one of the things that's popping into my mind is when we're talking about this is that the thing is this, the summer period's not actually that long. So we're implementing a new structure for these summer months, but you don't really have time
Mm,
to get into a rhythm with it. So you, like
mm,
you said, you've got to be clear and concise on what it is you're wanting to achieve, because you've kind of got to get stuck straight into it and gain that momentum off the bat, because otherwise you
mm,
don't have 3 4 5 months to build that up, because then you're back into the usual routine of business. You know, we're coming out of H1 going into H2, you know, ending Q3. You know, it's aligning all of that as well as then your new routines and structures. I think that it can
mm,
be, I think one of the good things about doing a bit of a restructure on your routine over July and August is that it makes you get a bit honest with yourself as well. Because when we're busy, I can always say, oh, I don't have time to do this. I've got networking events to be at, or I've got client calls, I've got this and that. All of a sudden, when you remove all of that regular noise, which isn't a bad thing, but all the regular commitments that you have, it then gives you space to be like, okay, realistically, I've now got additional time. Where am I spending that? And also, where do I need to, moving forward post the summer, be spending that time going forward? And actually, what things can I just remove out completely?
mm.
It is a bit like you
Yeah.
were saying about the wardrobe. It's a bit of a cleanup of your time management. For me, it
Yeah.
is anyway, definitely. And I'm very much using August to get ready for September in regards to the work infrastructure, how I want to do my business admin and my life admin. And it's
Mm,
been nice taking some more time for a bit more self-care practices as well over the summer. I've just started a new personal training program this month because I have the bandwidth and capacity to do it, because my
mm.
August doesn't look like my January, February, March did. It looks completely different. Actually, I've got the time and headspace to get into that new routine, because that isn't something that I would just switch into automatically. To see what I'm
Yeah.
saying about the change in
Mm,
the task, it needs to be obtainable enough in a way and easy enough to get into so that you can get the benefit from it. So when people are sitting down and looking at their July and August, also be pragmatic and realistic of what goals you are setting. Are they actually achievable, or are they things that are going to have to be built over time, which doesn't really make them fit for purpose for the summer months? So again, and that takes
yeah,
out a
that's
lot
true.
of items on the itinerary, because there'll be something that maybe you integrate over the next 6 months or a year. So for
Yeah.
me, it's, you know, it's not a huge list, but like I was saying, for me, it's nurturing my network connections and reconnecting with people. It's getting ready from an infrastructure perspective within the business for September, and also taking time to nurture my introducer relationships, and also then a little bit of personal on the personal training side. For me, that's four things. I think that's absolutely enough for 1 month, considering we're already
Yeah,
a week in as
definitely.
well.
I think you
Oh, so I
put
hope
the
I'm as
key
productive as you.
thing. Oh, you will be definitely. No, the key thing that you just made me think of there is that it has to work for you, and I think that comes from knowing yourself. Knowing how you operate, knowing how you like to work, and how you respond to different tasks as well. So for me, I know that if there is something that I really want to do, or if there's something that I feel I must get done because of the end result, then I can really hyper focus in on that, and I can shut out all of the noise, and I could literally spend a week just buried in that task and it wouldn't bother me at all. I wouldn't get distracted. But if there's something that I don't want to do, but I need to do it, I don't enjoy it, I can see the benefit, but I'm like, oh no, it just fills me with dread. I need to chunk that down. And I know that I need to chunk that down. And so I guess coming back to your point as well, if you have to chunk it down so much, is it realistically going to be a summer project? Maybe it is, but maybe it's something that's going to go on beyond that. And so then you have to feed that into your regular routine going forwards. So I think it comes down to knowing yourself really well so that you can build out a structure that's actually going to work for you, and one that, like you say, at the end of summer, you can actually switch it off and go back to your other what's it routine, because you've managed it in a way that actually suits you in the first place, you know.
Yeah, I personally, I would not pick the tasks that I'd have to chunk down on, because I'd want to get to the end of the month and feel super productive. And I love a list and I love ticking things off. So if the list isn't too
Mm,
long and it's achievable, then for me, that's a win. And then what I would do is factor in the chunk down tasks post the summer. But I get what you're saying.
mm,
Sometimes it is just a case of starting things as well. There's never a perfect moment, a perfect time. Sometimes you just have to start it, get momentum, and
yeah.
then it starts building and it works itself out. But for me personally, I would just much rather have a shorter list with very clear, concise objectives that are achievable within the 4 or 5 weeks of, or however many weeks I'm on the ground in Dubai, because then I feel I'm not as distracted. And especially with the less networking events, that gives me more
Mm,
time back. So
yeah.
I figure we'll actually utilize that to get a lot of things off of the list. Because then when I've got limited time post the summer, I can pick up those, I can say, chunk down items, where you're having to break them down, because I can just pick them up for half an hour here, an hour there, you know. So for me
Mm,
personally, that works better. But I see it from both points of view. And I think you know, people, you know, we've got 5 weeks left, 4 or 5 weeks left of August. So there's no
yeah.
reason, if people maybe have got to the point where they think, oh, I've been a bit lax over the summer, I've kind of dropped the ball, or I've just been doing life more as opposed to doing work more, which again is totally fine. But maybe now is a good time to have an honest conversation with yourself and say, okay, realistically, I've got this time left. What do I want to achieve? What can I achieve,
Mm,
to set me up to start September on a strong footing? Because
yeah.
once September comes back into play, it is naturally going to get busier.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, and then it sweeps you up in your regular routines, and before you know it, you're sat there thinking about the thing that you wanted to do, and the time is just completely passed. I do think there's an element though, and just touching on what you said a little bit, and also going back to what you said about your new routine as well from a fitness perspective. I do think that it's important to incorporate the extra time that you wouldn't necessarily have around personal goals as well, because those can actually be just as good for your mindset, for your confidence. So, for example, so you've just mentioned your new fitness regime that you're going to incorporate into August. Now, I, for months, have been talking about the fact that I want to get back into reformer. And if you've ever stepped off a reformer for a few months, you know how difficult it is to get back onto
Yes,
that thing, because you know it's going to
I am
break
that
you for the
person
first
now.
few classes. It's going to break you. And so for months, I've been sat there going, oh, I really want to get back into this. But oh no, I'm not in the, I'm not in the mindset, I'm not in the mood to go and put myself on a reformer right now. That's the last thing I need. So July for me has been a great time to just go, right, okay, I'm just going to make this my whole bloody personality, and I'm going to put myself on a reformer. And I've been going 5 times a week. And that really for
Wow.
me was so that I could throw myself back into it and get to a standard that I then feel comfortable with. So that obviously going into the rest of the year, I can go 2 times a week and it's absolutely fine. But actually, and it's the same thing all the time, right? If we go back to something, we're always surprised at how much better we are than we give ourselves credit for. And
Yeah.
actually, I had so much more muscle memory than I had given myself credit for. And actually, I think it was the second or third class I went to, and the instructor said to me, "You're not a beginner, are you?" And I went, "Well, I used to go a little bit." And then this other girl was like, "Oh, I was watching you." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And I really needed that, you know? But it's so true. So I think, coming back to my original point is that, do spend the time on personal things as well. That's going to fuel you
Yeah.
as an individual, because it helps to fuel you and it helps to fuel your confidence in your business as well. So yeah, don't neglect to do that as well, I would
Well,
say.
that feeling of accomplishment in the Pilates, that will roll over into your business stuff, because you know you've got that now. You've got that
Yeah,
feeling of actually
yeah,
I've achieved that, and now you've done the website as well. You see, so it's like actually
yeah,
you finished the month
exactly.
on a high, so it's overflowed into both parts. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that my August is as super productive as yours, but it would be
Oh,
really
it will be.
interesting to see what tasks other people are looking to tackle over the summer months and how that's looking for them whilst they're here on the ground in Dubai. So if anybody wants to share, yeah, that'd be really
Yeah.
interesting to know because it gives us food for thought as well, and it's also just inspiration for other people to think, you know, little easy wins that maybe you just don't think of because you think everything's such a big task. So it'd be great for people to share that, definitely.
Definitely. But I
And
think coming on to, oh, sorry, I was just going to say, coming on to the session that we're going to run in a couple of weeks, still same topic, but slightly different perspective, is obviously talking about juggling the management of your business whilst you are traveling. Now, obviously, you've spent the last month doing that, Amanda, and I haven't done that this summer, but I certainly have done in the past. So I think, again, I would throw that out to anyone listening. You know, if you have experienced challenges or actually you found something that really works for you, then throw it in the comments because we'd love to
yeah,
incorporate that into the next session as well.
yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, I think we'll wrap up there for today. Thank you
Excellent.
very
It's been
much,
great to be
Karina.
back.
Yeah, it has been. And we hope everybody else has enjoyed our chats. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. So we'll be talking about, as Karina said, working remotely and seeing how that looks for people. And hopefully we can do some shares in the meantime. But for now, wishing you all a very happy Friday and hope you all have a lovely
Absolutely.
weekend. Right.
And whatever you're doing, enjoy your travels, enjoy wherever you are, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.